One of my favourite dishes of any restaurant dish I've ever had in my entire life was the Confit duck Panang from Ollie's Thai in Oxford. So I was born, grew up, lived most of my life in Oxford, and it was a restaurant that me and many other people that lived there went to all the time, and the dish that pretty much everyone loved was the duck Panang. And quite a few years ago I started trying to replicate that dish at home and got pretty close, but eventually ended up talking to Rufus, one of the owners, and kind of picked his brains about how they made it. So I know I'm pretty close to the actual recipe, so for you guys that are familiar with Ollie's Thai, follow this recipe if you want to make that dish at home. But for everyone else, this is just an incredible Thai dish, and I'm going to add a little bit of a spin on it today. I'm going to smoke it and then confit it for a little bit of additional flavour, and we'll see how it goes. And the first thing that we need to do is get our duck legs prepared and ready for confit. And to do that, we're going to go with a pretty basic cure, or effectively brine, on these duck legs. If you are a classically trained chef or French, then just give me a break. But the way we're gonna do this is just my approach. It's easy, it changes all the time. Sometimes I add ingredients, take away ingredients. Typically you're gonna do this with shallots, but I'm not gonna today. So we're gonna start off first with some table salt, and way more table salt than you think you would ever need. We are not gonna be eating all of this, believe me. Good amount of salt on there. Then we'll go in with some crushed garlic. Don't need to peel these or anything. A couple of cloves, some juniper berries, some bay leaves, which I'm just gonna tear up a little bit. And a little addition I like to add, dried Thai chilies. We're gonna go in and we're just gonna mix this round, make sure that all of this stuff is rubbed into the meat. Just trying to make an infused salt cure. And there you've got some duck legs in a cure, in a salt cure. This is gonna keep them nice and juicy. It's gonna provide heaps of flavor, and hopefully those aromatics will infuse into the duck legs. So this is gonna go into the fridge for 24 hours. If I remember before bedtime, I'll give this a little toss around again. So 24 hours later, these have been curing, brining overnight. This smells absolutely incredible. Kind of smells like how carnita smells. This has taken on a load of salt. We just now need to rinse the surface salt off, just lightly under a cold running tap. All of the salt that these duck legs need has been absorbed into the legs, so we're just rinsing off that exterior stuff. Once these have been rinsed, just gonna pat them dry a little bit. And now for a traditional confit, these would just go straight into a bath of duck fat. But of course, we're gonna be smoking these as well as confiting them, so we need to get some smoke onto them. You could do that in any way you want. You could use a Weber, a bullet smoker, a pellet grill, an offset, anything that's going to apply some smoke to these, some smoke flavor as a seasoning step. We're not looking to cook these as such. We're not looking to render any fat, purely just about getting some smoke onto these. And I'm about to head out for about an hour or so, so I'm going to whack these onto the pellet grill with a smoke tube, put them on there around 165 Fahrenheit for maybe an hour and a half until I get home, and we should have some ducks that have a nice smoked flavor to them but are not yet or even nearly cooked. So as I say, we are getting these on at a nice low temperature of around 165 degrees, and that's where this pellet is going to kick off the most amount of smoke. But we're also going to fill up my smoke tube, which needs clearing out clearly, to give an extra depth of smoke flavor. Right, so about an hour and a half later, me being pretty impatient and heading out, my smoke tube went out, so didn't actually light in the end. So not as much smoke color on there as I'd like, but they definitely smell smoky. So we're going to take these inside and get these duck legs, these smoked duck legs, into a dish that means that there's not too much free space around it. So you want to get a container that's just the right size, nothing too big. And we are going to pour over the top some duck fat. And I want to make sure that these are pretty much entirely submerged. And we're gonna put these into an oven. You could put these back onto the smoker, but it's just easier to put them in the oven. So that's where they're going, at about 225 Fahrenheit or 110 Celsius. And that is gonna give us the most luxuriously tender, salty, fatty, just incredible piece of meat. I wish I had a little bit more duck fat because this bit's a little bit exposed, but that should be fine. Might give these a turn about halfway. And this is gonna take a couple of hours. We're looking for fork tender meat, and we'll check that after about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So this is gonna go into my oven for a couple of hours until they are completely tender. So I forgot to turn my mic on, but 2 hours and 45 minutes after this went into the oven, it has been slowly cooking away, confiting in duck fat, and it is now completely fork tender. So at this point, you could just take these out and roast them off in the oven like we're gonna do tomorrow, or you could set them into the fridge overnight, let that fat set. They're gonna be much easier to handle at this point, and this is where confit really comes from, the preservation of the food. Providing they're completely submerged in the fat, you could put them in the fridge and they will be great for months. And a lot of people think that that they actually get better with age. But due to timings and because they firm up and a bit easier to handle, I'm going to put them into the fridge overnight and we'll roast them off tomorrow. So it's the next day for me, could be a couple of hours later for you, a few hours in the fridge will do. And you can see all the duck fat has gone nice and firm. However, being duck fat, it is still quite soft, even though this has been in the fridge. So we're gonna let this warm up a little bit so we can fish these out without damaging them. Meanwhile, we'll prep our Panang curry ingredients. And like pretty much every Thai curry, that's gonna start with a paste. And you can make your own Panang curry paste pretty easy. I'll put a recipe below for one that I think is pretty good. However, after all the years of making this, I really don't think you can beat the ploy Panang curry paste. So I did think to myself, should I make one from scratch because it's a YouTube food channel? But I'm just going to be honest, this is what I use. I've never made a paste better than this. And this is the exact paste that the guys at Ollie's Thai use. And actually a lot of Thai restaurants are using this rather than making their own paste. And yeah, ploy Panang curry paste. They do a red one, a yellow one, a green one, a Massaman, but the Panang is my favorite. Comes in a vacuum sealed package like this. And for this particular recipe, I use 60 grams of the paste. I won't give you the exact amounts for all the other ingredients, but I will put them in the description below. So 60 grams for 1 can of coconut milk. Some good quality fish sauce. I like the Squid brand. Some palm sugar. This is going to bring a nice sweetness, and Thai food is all about a balance of sweet, sour, salt, spice. If you don't have palm sugar, you could just use brown sugar. It'll be fine. Some tamarind paste or tamarind concentrate. Some good quality coconut milk. I like the Aroy-d brand. This is one of the best in my opinion, and when it's available in my local Asian market, I will pick up plenty of it. Some fine beans or some Chinese fine beans, and some Kaffir lime leaves. These have a nice lemongrassy type flavor to them. In my opinion, one of the things that makes this curry great. I buy these in big bags and then I freeze them. They defrost if you just rub them together between your hands, and you've got a nice, almost fresh leaf. So back to our duck. We need a roasting tray, and I'm going to put the fan on the oven and set it to 180 Celsius or 355 Fahrenheit. We're going to fish out our duck legs, scraping off any additional fat. Put them onto the tray, skin side up. So we'll wait for the oven to get nice and hot while we prep up the veggies. Starting off with our green beans, just going to take the ends off and then just cut these down into about 1-inch segments. For our Kaffir lime leaves, bunch them all together, roll them up, and then I'm going to go in and chiffonade these very fine. So while that duck is roasting, I'm going to pull together some rice, and I like to use high quality Thai jasmine rice. And to make that, I'm going to go in with about this much rice, and using the same container, 1.5 times water. 1.5, little pinch of salt. And no, I don't wash this rice. Make sure it's nice and level. Lid on, and then this is going to go onto a medium burner on the highest heat for as long as it takes for steam to start coming out of here. When steam starts coming out of here, I'll turn it down to the lowest and let it simmer away. Once all the water's evaporated, cut the heat and let it sit for at least 10 minutes. So we'll put that back up to the highest heat. So our smoked and confit duck legs have been in the oven for about half an hour. They're starting to look nice and crispy, but there's a little while to go. Our rice is on and we're gonna get our Panang curry started. Going in first off with a little bit of oil and our green beans. Just gonna fry those up for a couple of minutes. Then we're going in with our Panang curry paste, and we really wanna cook this down a little bit. Get it cooking in the oil, some cream from our coconut milk, put it in just a little bit. We're gonna add this a little bit at a time until we get the consistency that we want. Good mix round, and use the coconut milk to break down this paste. Throw in our palm sugar. Takes a little while to get that dissolved, and this curry doesn't cook for that long, so putting it in nice and early. Some Kaffir lime leaves. Then we're going to add in some fish sauce, and you put in as much as you want in order to make this as salty as you want. This paste is pretty salty to begin with, so you don't need a huge amount. We'll go in with some tamarind concentrate, and really you can take this to the consistency that you want. I like a slightly thicker Panang curry to a regular Thai curry. I'm just going to turn the heat down on this and get out our duck legs. So about 45 minutes to an hour later, these duck legs are incredibly crispy. Almost like glass. We can set these aside for a little bit and let them rest. So to plate this up, we're gonna go down with some rice, some of our Panang curry. Well, that's ruined thumbnail, so. And then we're gonna go on with our confit duck leg to touch on top. Finish that with some Kaffir lime, and you've got yourself pretty much my favorite Thai dish ever. Make this at home. Oh my God, this duck. Look at that. Look how tender and juicy that is. Confit in its own fat, or the fat of many other ducks. That delicious Panang curry sauce, crispy skin, salty. It genuinely doesn't get much better than that. It does not get better than that. The depth of flavour that this dish has is, there's nothing else that compares to it. Confit duck, it's so delicious. It's salty, creamy, zesty, sweet, sour, Kaffir lime leaves. I love the fragrance of those. I mean, I could just eat that like a piece of fried chicken, to be honest. I made up way more of this than I'll probably eat, mostly for the thumbnail, but I don't know, it's heading that way. And I'm gonna be honest, I was worried that the smoke flavor wasn't gonna come through because that pellet tube went out, but the smoke flavor is there. And in fact, I think maybe if the smoke tube had continued to smoke whilst I was out, that might be too smoky. So it's there. It definitely tastes like smoked duck. So yeah, really happy with the smoke flavor on this. Not too heavy, nice and subtle. Tastes different to how it normally tastes, but I think I'd go through the extra step to smoke this again in the future. So yeah, I can't keep talking about how good it is. So yeah, another one of those videos where I just want to finish it. Truly one of the best dishes I've cooked on this channel. Whew. It does have a kick. That Panang paste has a kick, so be careful with that. So that's pretty much it. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It really, really, really does help me out. And please let me know if you make this. And also let me know if you've ever been to Ollie's Thai. I'd love to know how many locals watch this channel. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next week for another video.